Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I don't know. I don't know about all ages today. It might not be an all age show, but hey, how's it going? We got a lot to talk about. Um, be right back. We're gonna drop a little intro. What is up? What is up? Yeah, we're here following a disastrous loss yesterday. Let's try to make sense of it. Me, you, let's go on with it. We're gonna have a guest eventually coming into the show, so we'll welcome him shortly. But yeah, last night was a devastating loss. We lost both sides of the ball. Andy Reid took Kyle Shanahan, D'Amico Ryans, and he took them to school with him, and he taught them both a lesson. D'Amico looked bad as a coach; he couldn't adjust. Defense was gassed out by the third quarter, and they gave up big plays. Kyle Shanahan, he didn't make adjustments. Year six, and he's still having the same issues with the team that he basically constructed, since he got here. So it was not a pretty show. Mistakes happen, and special teams, they were bad too. So just poor execution, and we're going to talk about all that because this team is 3-4. I mean, I know it's still early. There's a lot of winnable games, but is it time to hit the panic button? We'll discuss that. It's still, I think, obviously a little too early because next week they can right the ship, get back, and compete again. NFC West, you got to win the NFC West, and winning those division games is going to be huge, right? I got a big game against the Rams, but it's the same thing that happens every year. You start off, you get these tough losses, you dig yourself in a hole, and it's hard to come back. The moment the Niners get into this position where they start, losing the game, they can't come back from behind. So it is an issue, right? Deba or D'Amico, right? That defense just fell apart. I think one of the biggest losses that nobody's talking about is Emmanuel Mosley. Emmanuel Mosley, when he went down with the ACL, I think that shook the whole foundation of this defense. And it's tough. It's tough because I know we have good secondary, we have a good amount of depth, and that's something we've highlighted. But those youngsters are not Charvarius Ward and Emmanuel Mosley. That was a great duo. And Charvarius Ward, he tried to play through a nagging injury, and I do not think he was healthy 100%. And I feel like that's an issue with the Niners in general. They play these guys through injuries, and it causes them to get more, injured, and that's a concern to me moving forward. So uh, we can win the next game and be 4-4. We have two hard games, which is the Dolphins and Buccaneers, but we still got Commanders and Cardinals. Yeah, but at this point, it's week to week. You can't expect to win those games if you've lost winnable games. That's the problem. The Niners need to be consistent. Right now, they're not showing they're consistent. And then, as much as I love the CMC move, maybe I don't know if that was the right move. You needed a cornerback. Like one thing, I'm going to give the Arizona Cardinals credit for. They needed a wide receiver. Hollywood Brown, he got hurt. Immediately the next day, they replaced him with the receiver. And, I love CMC, and I think we needed a jolt to the offense. But this secondary is not what it was a couple weeks ago, and that's an issue. And then the D-line, they got rid of DJ Jones last offseason, so they committed to Javon Kinlaw and Armstead. Both of them are hurt. Those are huge losses because the Niners cannot stop a run. They cannot stop a run. And the problem is you're supposed to be an elite team on defense and offense. They're not elite right now. If you think they're a top five defense after last night showing allowing 44 points, it's not what a top five defense does. It's just not. So they got to fix things up. I know Bosa played through an injury. He didn't look 100%. Charvarius Ward, but that's a problem. If these guys are hurt, you're risking them, and I feel that was definitely an issue. But Mosley goes down, and you don't replace him immediately. I know you have younger guys. It's a lot of pressure on younger guys. They're going to get challenged, especially against a guy like Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is an elite quarterback, and he's one of the best of the best. So it just tells us if we're going to have to go up against these big-time teams, like, yeah, maybe we could beat the Commanders and teams like that. But if you're going to go up against the Bills, the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, or one of these, amazing teams out there, the Niners just don't have enough firepower. 23 points is not going to be an elite team. You got to score more than 23 points. You have all this firepower on offense, and you're not mustering touchdowns on every drive. You had a turnover a big turnover, the Womack play, and then you put yourself in perfect position and you turn it over in the red zone. Jimmy Garoppolo, he had a fumble, a safety. He leads the league in safeties now, and an interception. Those are just costly mistakes. The penalties. Mike McGlinchey, this man created so many penalties throughout the season, and last night was no different. I know he's coming off a calf injury. There's no excuse. You're a top 10 pick. Got to play like it. It's very unfortunate. McGlinchey, man, he just looked lost. And on that safety, if we're going to talk about linemen, Trent Williams, he just looked like a shell of himself. He's supposed to be arguably the best player in the NFL. A lot of people say he's one of the best players or the best player. I've seen that out there. He didn't look like it. Maybe he was still hampered by the high ankle sprain. And listen, ankle sprains are a tough injury. I said this before. It's a 6-week injury at least. When Jimmy Garoppolo had a high ankle sprain a couple years ago, I think he missed like the rest of that season, right? He missed a lot of games. Trent Williams, they brought him back after 4 weeks. I feel like it was too soon. You could tell Trent Williams just didn't look like himself. It's tough. Let's get to some of these comments. I realize that we own the Rams, but too many are acting like it's a guaranteed win. It's not a guaranteed win for either team. It's going to be a battle. Both teams need this win. Bucks are awful like us. They are, but they have a soft division. And so do we. The Niners have a soft division. At the end of the day, the Niners, the Bucks, whatever, they got to win the division to get to where they need to be. But also at the end of the day, I know Tom Brady's going through it this year. He's still Tom Brady. And if he makes it to the playoffs, he'll have a chance no matter what. I don't think he is, what he was. Obviously he's not in his prime. He's still Tom Brady, and they got a crap division. And yesterday, Mike Evans dropped 2 wide open touchdowns. I don't think he's going to do that again, right? And it's tough. We were supposed to win against the Bears, Broncos, Falcons. Same thing, same way of thinking. 3-5 to the championship. We are fine. We'll always be the Rams. Yeah. Myth vibes. This is basically what I was saying last night. Everybody says, "Oh, okay, it's okay. We'll be 3-5 again if they get to that point, and it's going to be okay." It's not that simple, and I agree with it. Like, it's just not that easy to go, and 3-5 and say, "Oh, okay, we did it last year. We could do it again." It really isn't that easy, and especially when your coach has been inconsistent, very inconsistent. He's had 3 seasons where it was a dog trash season. I'll give him his first year. He was his first year as a head coach. He took over a crappy roster. I'll give you that. But 3 seasons has been very poorly executed. Injuries, penalties, whatever the case is. I know he's had 2 really good seasons. You get to an NFC Championship one year and a Super Bowl. But other than that, it's like every year it's the same issues. You have Deebo Samuel. I don't even recall seeing him being used yesterday. I don't remember seeing Deebo get the ball. Like, you got this man that's getting paid $71 million. He's not getting utilized correct. I know you have CMC and he was a bright spot, but you have all of this talent against the Chiefs defense who has rookie cornerbacks out there. You have to score more than 23 points. Like, bottom line, like, I know the defense didn't play good, but the offense wasn't as good either. So it was both sides of the ball. You have to put up points to beat elite teams. And both sides of the ball were absolutely terrible. Oh, man. Let's see. Let's get some more of these. Marion Military says, I also think Garoppolo needs to get training or another option he has to go. He's just not show his full potential, and it's just sad. That is his full potential, unfortunately. Hold up. I got a call from Smitty. Smitty, my man, you're on the show with me. What's up? Yeah, I'm on live right now. What's up, man? Let me put you on speaker. Do you want to talk to the Niner fans? Okay, let's go, baby. This is Smitty live. We're talking with Smitty from the Fantasy Football Show. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm watching this guy Ellinger get vaulted up into the lineup for the Indianapolis Colts, and I'm thinking, you know what looked pretty nice right now? Brock Purdy getting elevated up into the Niners lineup. I think you guys should follow suit.
Oh, man. Do you want to hop on the lives? Do you have time?
I can't right now. I'm driving, but I would if I could. But
okay.
I don't mind being on the phone for a few minutes. Though.
Okay. Yeah. Well, tell me what do you think about this situation? Go ahead. Tell me what you think.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. You guys know how I feel about Jimmy G. You know how I feel about Shanahan. But, like, the question I got to ask somebody that feels a little differently than I do. Number one, you're coming around. I already know that. That's fact. You're coming around. You're understanding that the problem probably is Shanahan. You're understanding that Jimmy G's probably not the answer, even if you're slow moving to come around. But I'm going to say this: what is Jimmy G going to accomplish for you at the end of the day? At the end of the day, it's going to be no Super Bowl. It's going to be no progression or evolving of your backup quarterback that you might have to lean on with this guy Trey Lance coming back from a very, very bad injury. So if it's me in a what looks to be a lost season anyway, no offense, but I would take this kid Brock Purdy, throw him into the lineup, develop him, and maybe he surprises you and he revives your season. I don't think, even if you made the playoffs with Jimmy D, I don't think you're winning a Super Bowl with Jimmy D. I think pretty much everyone here can admit that. So if maybe you have an open mind to the fact that Peters and the Niners are one of the best finding a gem in the draft teams in the NFL. You guys know how to find gems late in the draft. If you trust your process, you trust your personnel and your ability to pluck players from the ether, then maybe you should trust that Brock Purdy might be a surprise player that could bust out and become something special because you drafted him for a reason. You didn't draft him because he was garbage. You drafted him because you thought, your team thought, Peters thought, everybody involved thought he could be something special. Why not give him a shot when you know Jimmy's not the answer and you're not going to get a Super Bowl win out of him?
I mean, it's not a bad take. I know we talk about this, and I'm going to open it up to the Niner fans. I mean, will you guys chime in, drop your thoughts? Purdy, yes. Jimmy, and I think it's, people say, oh, Jimmy's going to win games. And if that's the thing, if you're going to go all the way, like let's just say, hypothetically, the season plays out and we don't make the Super Bowl. We don't even make the playoffs. Like, what's the worst that could happen? You get this guy development. I don't think it's the worst take in the world. Look at what the Colts did. They trashed Matt Ryan, benched him, and they said, we're going to see what we got with Sam Ehlinger. And it's not to say that Purdy's going to be the future of this team. And I see what you're saying is, at the end of the day, it goes back on coaching. If you're a good coach, you can win with quarterback. Like look at Bailey Zappi out in New England. They were winning with Bailey Zappi. Nobody knew who the hell Bailey Zappi was. So to your credit, to your argument, I mean, I definitely see it. So if you're going to bank on this team with Trey in the future, he's going to need a decent backup, right? So why not give him some experience, Purdy that is, and see where you can go from it. So I understand that. I think the Niners, obviously, they've, made this commitment to Jimmy. And again, we've been sitting here for 2 years and say, you got to get rid of him, because it's going to be an issue. And I mean, I know the team, the Niners and the fans are like, you know what, we're going to pull together and we're going to win games. Well, what if we don't? What if they don't? And then you're sitting here faced with an uphill battle. It's going to be ugly, So I don't think I'm not opposed to that, Smitty. I don't think that's a horrible idea. I know there's going to be people, this comments that say, oh, it's so stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. But it is actually a viable option. Right now, again, it goes back to the head coach. Can he develop these players? Can he get what's the most out of this offense? You just sat there. You added Christian McCaffrey to this offense, and everybody says, yeah, all week he's going to be unstoppable. I know he's only been on the team 2 days, and it's going to take some time, but we expected more than 23 points against a bad Chiefs defense. It's bad, man. And I think a lot of this has to fall back on coaching and the decisions. And these are the types of decisions that can make or break a season. And again, Kyle, for all the good decisions he's made a lot of bad ones, and he's still here 6 years later. And he has a worse record than Harbaugh, who coached less seasons. And it's just frustrating. Every year he goes through these frustrating seasons, and then you got the fans, oh, don't worry, I still got faith because we can pull it together. Eventually the odds catch you up, man. It's just tough, and again, I don't think it's the worst option in the world, Smitty.
Well, I think that you got to ask yourself two questions. You got to ask yourself: is Jimmy G, like when people say, "Oh, are we going to win with the unproven, Mr. Irrelevant pick?" And that's what CMAC would say to us, and I get it. I understand and respect that take and that point. But my counterpoint is, well, what are you going to do? Win with Jimmy G? And it's like it's as obvious of an answer and rebuttal as that is. It's like I'm truly asking the question: does somebody that thinks, oh, you can't win with Brock Purdy, when your team has one of the best defenses in the NFL, when your team has one of the best, if not the best running back in the NFL, when your team has one of the best, potential schemes and abilities to run the football in the NFL, and you have weapons galore, that all you got to do is check down to these weapons or or bubble screens, small little passes that Brock Purdy can 1,000% make. If you think that Jimmy G gives you more of an advantage over Brock Purdy in that scenario I just painted out, then I honestly think you're blind to what Jimmy G really is. This whole notion that you're going to win with Mr. Irrelevant versus Jimmy G is the other option is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We know what Jimmy is. It's been 100 years already. We've seen it. We've seen him out there.
Yeah.
And it's like he's not 2019 Jimmy anymore. People need to stop trying to like somehow tie Jimmy G's 2019 and pre-2019 abilities to what he is now. Not only that, Raj, he is 1,000% injury risk.
Yeah.
And it's like at some point he's going to go down. I thought he was going to go down to that safety when he
and
awkwardly.
I want to talk about that safety because again, that was a massive backbreak. There was a couple backbreaking plays, like the interception in the red zone. That was the game changer. Like the Niners still had a chance. You get a turnover, you need a score. Like that should be automatic, and it wasn't. And then they dropped the ball, the interception. Thank God the Chiefs didn't score a field goal after that or whatever, but it didn't matter because second half comes and they just are unable to score points. And that goes on Kyle and Jimmy. That duo, they just don't work here. They can't score points. And look at Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, man. That's a phenomenal head coach who's very creative. Early in his career, he did struggle to win big games, but he always adapts. He's so creative and he gets the most out of his players. And Patrick Mahomes, man, just phenomenal guy. But going to that safety, the O-line Trent Williams got demolished by Frank Clark, who's talking trash on the Niners now. And we can't sit here and say anything about it because everything he said was probably facts. And you got this guy, Jimmy, who's been in the league for on the Niners, sorry, not in the league, on the Niners for 6 seasons. And he's still making the same mistake. So I'm not even like concerned about the whole Jimmy situation because I know like he is who I thought he is. Like he's going to go out there and make these silly mistakes. But that safety was bad. Trent Williams was bad on that play. Mike McGlinchey was bad all night. Penalties were ugly.
If you dialed the passing attack back a little bit, Raj, and you just said, I'm going to do design plays for Debo. I'm going to do design plays for Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to do design plays. Do you believe that Brock Purdy can make the same throws Jimmy can, or maybe even better, on those?
At least the same. He should at least make this.
You're not asking him to use experience and try and read defenses. You're literally saying Jimmy can't throw downfield, guys. Jimmy can't throw downfield. Jimmy shouldn't be throwing downfield. Jimmy should be doing checkdowns and design plays that have nothing to do with necessarily reading this or that. It's like if you think Purdy can, then throw Purdy in there and dumb down the passing attack a little bit. Utilize the weapons that are impossible to contain, even if you know someone's not going downfield all the time. Purdy can still throw downfield on, you run.
This is the way I'll answer it, Smitty, is you can't be worse than what Jimmy is at this point on this team. Right. At least it'd be the same and you'd be developing it. So I see the argument because everybody said, the argument of Jimmy wins games. He doesn't do anything to win games with this team. Like he's not going to be this guy that brings you back. Like if it was tables turn, if the Chiefs were down 36-23 yesterday, Mahomes would have been able to bring this team back 100%. He would have been able to bring the Chiefs back and fight back because he could score at a blink of an eye. Look at him. He's making Juju Smith look great last night. Like everybody thought they're going to lose Tyreek Hill and be horrible, man. This offense didn't miss a beat. McCole Hardman, they're using McCole Hardman the way the Niners should be using Debo. Like they took a page out of the Niners book and beat him with it. That's coaching. Andy Reid, dog walked D'Amico and Kyle. The defense was bad. I know you said Niners have a top defense. After last night, you throw that one out the window because they look bad. But again, I know a lot of players are hurt, but you can't use them as an excuse. There's a lot of soul searching. And I know D'Amico didn't look good, but you also have to realize your head coach is also a big part of helping your defense and being prepared. It's preparation. So it's not just D'Amico. It is Kyle. Like he's the head coach. He needs to make sure everybody is prepared, even his defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got to run now, but I appreciate you having me on. Give me a call after, and then, hopefully you guys, I'm telling you, Ellinger, take a page out of the Colts book. It takes guts and courage to
that was a big move
in there like that after a big contract, and I think,
honestly,
I think that's the move to make.
That was a big move. I couldn't believe it. Wow. But I mean, you're right.
I'm telling you, he might not be. This might not be a bad move too. This kid Ellinger. There were teams that actually called and inquired about him or were interested in him, according to Ian Rappaport. So I think this is one of those things where it's like you got to trust your development, and the Niners should trust their development because your guys' development and your scouting and all that, especially late in the draft, is phenomenal and superb and pretty much first class. So trust it. Ellinger's being trusted and vaulted in. Maybe it doesn't work out, but I have a funny little feeling he's going to look better than Jimmy G going forward. To be honest with you.
No, yeah, I mean, I get it. And real quick before you leave, so comment here from Randall says Purdy must be more ready than Lance was, and he's upset about your comment. Smitty's not even saying that. He's not saying that. It's not about Purdy being ready or anything. It's okay, if you know Jimmy's not going to be here next year, and let me correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to answer for you. If you know Jimmy's not going to be here next year and Trey's going to be your quarterback, you need to have a viable backup because who knows? Maybe Trey gets hurt or he's not ready 100% to start the year. You're going to need a reliable backup, and giving Purdy reps will help him get there. And that's all Smitty's saying. He's not saying that, oh, Purdy's ready, he's this great quarterback. But you never know. Right. Like Tom Brady, when he got thrown into the fire, and I'm not saying Purdy's Tom Brady. I'm just using this as an example.
Yes.
You find sometimes people have to throw people into the fire, and you're like, oh, I'll be damned, he's pretty good. Like Bailey Zappi, he won some games. Heineken or Heine, what's the guy from the Commanders?
Heineke.
Heineke. I'm not saying Heineke's good, but he's won games. He looks better than Carson Wentz, and they should have probably started him. You know what I mean?
Hey, look, Russell Wilson rose this way. Dak Prescott rose this way. I'm not saying Russell Wilson looks good now, but everybody can admit that Russell Wilson was a great quarterback for a long time. Mm-hmm. Russell Wilson rose this way. Dak Prescott rose this way. And when you're talking about the odds of a player potentially being scouted very well and being a gem, then you're talking about, the odds of that happening are on the Niners roster. Like you guys have a track record for Kittle and different players that are absolute gems late in the draft. So I just think that like that guy was suggesting that I'm not saying anything about that he's ready to go and he's going to be a locker or whatever, but I do know Jimmy's not the answer. So why not explore the answers that you trusted enough to invest a draft pick on? Why not throw them out there, see what's what, dumb down the offense, and let all the weapons work for you? Because like I said before that game started, everybody's excited about CMC. I didn't want to put a damper on it, but it's like you have a pea shooter going out there and you're trying to use this pea shooter to utilize and fire off all these nuclear warheads that are Deebo Samuel and Ayuk and CMC and Kittle. And you have this pea shooter. It's almost like everyone's waiting in line. You know, when you're doing layups in basketball, there's only one basketball to go around. And I know there's only one football to go around as well. But it's almost like no one can get out of this line doing layups until Jimmy's ready to hand them the ball. Jimmy can't facilitate. You can't utilize all these weapons in a row. They're all lined up. They're all stuck in a corner. Nobody can be even used at 80% capacity. You know, it's like you have a loaded roster. What's loaded mean, Rob? What's loaded mean? Buffalo Bills loaded. They've got Gabe Davis. They've got Diggs. They've got Josh Allen. Bengals loaded. They got Joe Burrow. They got Higgins. They got Mixon. They got Jamar Chase. They're loaded. You guys are loaded, but the difference is those two teams have a signal caller that can distribute to that loaded talent. It's almost like the CMC trade was a waste because it's like you're buying an amazing engine for a vehicle that has no tires. You have no tires on this vehicle, yet you're souping this car up and you can't even drive it down the street. So it's like, was the move to make really to get a running back, or was it to go get a quarterback? Was it to go and try and get a Tom Brady off of? I'm not saying it was a possibility. I'm just saying, like, I don't know what the CMC thing's going to accomplish if you're keeping Jimmy G in there. And I know everyone thinks Purdy is a downgrade, but we don't really even know that. And not to mention, you would change the offense to make sure that Purdy was supported, and maybe everybody pulls together and makes Purdy play a lot better than he should play.
Maybe.
Look,
you never know.
Heineke came in during the playoffs. Remember when Heineke came in during the playoffs?
Mm-hmm.
He ended up not being a great quarterback that next year, and we'll see what Heineke is, going forward, obviously all that. But Heineke came in during the playoffs and had support and looked really good.
Yeah.
And I think that could happen with Purdy if he's surrounded lifted up and not the guy that you're asking to do the things you're asking Jimmy G to do. And so that's all I'm going to say.
No, I get it. I like the take. Appreciate you as always. I got another special guest joining the show. None other than my man, Wayne Breezie. Yo, we got to hype up my man, Breezy. Yo, I don't know if you guys heard, but unfortunately yesterday, this man was bamboozled. His page was hacked. So I need everybody to go and subscribe to my boy, Wayne Breezie. He had to create a new page. Everybody take a second out of your day. Go hit up Wayne Breezie show and subscribe to his page. He needs to get back up to 5K. These people are playing with his money. They are playing with his life. And I was sick to my stomach. So I'm glad I got him on my show today. We're going to talk with Wayne. Go and get this man his 5K back. They stole it from him. We need to get him back. This is the hardest working guy in the industry. What's up, Big Breezy?
Look, man, after getting bamboozled, like you said, oh my God, YouTube did an upgrade. But listen, I'm gonna send you the link and I'm gonna put it in the text messages, and then I'm gonna let you go ahead. I was about to say, who the hell just posted to my somebody hacked my new account, but I forgot I just did a video live. Yo,
You don't even
I'm
know
going
what's going
Google for Cocoa Puffs, bro. I just finished rewatching the game though.
Oh,
So I'm
yeah,
hot.
I watched it too, bro. Yeah, I ended up because you texted me you're gonna watch it. I was like, yeah, I might watch the game. That was a bad mistake. I'm sick, man. So now we're fresh in our heads. We got a lot to talk about, man.
Bro,
yeah,
I'm hot. I'm hot. That's not it. Hold on.
You coming in hot. I like it.
I'm hot because I was listening to the caller, and a lot of this. It's so funny because I was on NBN last night. We're doing the overreaction show. I wasn't going to do anything last night. I was so distraught. I'm sitting there and I'm saying we're arguing about talent, and they're trying to convince me that we are talented, and I'm like, you're right, we are talented. But do you know where we lack the most talent other than the right side of the offensive, the right tackle, and maybe the center who played well? The quarterback. And so when I'm sitting here listening to this caller sit there and says, like, yo, what was the purpose of getting a CMC if you're not going to utilize him? I watched the first half of the game, and I'm like, oh, shoot, CMC look good. Oh, shoot, Jeff Wilson look good. Oh, shoot, TDP got a couple carries. Oh, shoot, this is what we want. Why did we stop running the ball in the first place? Like, what the Kyle, it was working. You were down by 5, and you were still trying to throw the ball during the 9. You're trying to throw the ball, and Jimmy takes a safety.
The worst one, Breeze. The worst one. Okay, you get the turnover. Oh, that was amazing. And you better turn that into points. Remember, we sat here and talked last week, and I said, if you get a turnover, you have to capitalize on it, right? You cannot ruin the turnovers. And what they did exactly what I said they should.
Oh my gosh.
And on a fucking goal line, excuse my language, that's why I said it wasn't an all-ages show today. On the goal line, you throw the ball, Jeff Wilson Jr.'s wide open, and when he explained it, when Jimmy explained the play, I was trying to get it to Kittle. Why are you even trying to get it to Kittle when Jeff Wilson Jr.
You throw the
ball on the goal line and it's intercepted?
Okay, I think what he was trying to say was I was trying to throw a jump ball to Kittle. Jimmy, it was a zero blitz. You didn't even have time to throw the jump ball. Matter of fact, if you knew it was a zero blitz, because I'm quite sure he's cognitive enough to know what the hell is going on, you should have just thrown the fucking ball in the first place. I rather than intercepted the ball or you flung it out of bounds or anything like that and lived to the next play. You threw a duck. He threw 2 ducks. One was for a touchdown, one was for a pick.
Duck, a wavy guy. I don't know how the first touchdown was. But this is the thing. You're on the goal line. You just brought in CMC. You could have gave him a touchdown and let the fans go absolutely berserk and taken the momentum out of this Chiefs. Stadium would have went and had a major erection. Sorry. They would have had an absolute crazy pandemonium. Or Debo, the guy you're forgetting all about, you're paying him $71 million. You could have gave it to Debo or Jeff Wilson Jr., who's running pretty damn good that game. Or just sneak Jimmy G in. He could run a quarterback sneak. But no, you chose to, as somebody posted on Twitter, I can't remember, I think it was Ryan Hensley. He tweeted, he goes, Jimmy throws a 5-yard Hail Mary. I damn near died when I saw that tweet. A 5-yard Hail Mary.
The ball was 30 yards up for a 5-yard pass. 30 up, 5. I'm like, why? And here's the thing, right? I couldn't get into the game yesterday, but I had it on. We were up 10-0. You forgot that part. You forgot to mention that we were up 10-0. We would have scored a touchdown. It would have been 17-0. That changes the whole game. The whole game would have been different. Patrick Mahomes coming from behind, not saying he wouldn't have been able to do it, pause, but I'm just saying that changes the whole game and it allows your defense to play coverage. They're not going to try to run the ball. They don't got a successful running game, but they did yesterday. I'll tell you what. It's ridiculous, man.
It's crazy, man. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to take momentum. You have to take those momentum swings, take advantage, because a team like Kansas City, they can come back at a blink of an eye. We saw it. Like, it was actually a pretty close game at halftime.
Yeah.
You know, they were down 1, and then even they were still down, you know, maybe a score or score and a half. And it was still meaningful. But obviously the Niners, I don't know if they shit the bed or wet the bed. I think they did both. Obviously, it's like they did both. It's like when you have a kid and you wake up and they crap the bed and they piss the bed. That's a mess. And the Niners left them with an absolute. They left that game with a mess in their hands. And I was just like, wow. And again, failure to run the ball and execute. And then the defense, you put so much pressure.
That was it. That was the key. The defense was the worst portion of the team on the field. Even with the offensive issues, the defense just couldn't string stuff together. But the defense is the most injured, right? We don't have the same starting defense we had weeks 1 through 3, 1 through 4. Right? We still getting gashed up the middle. As much as I love Givens, Akeem Spence, and these guys, they were rotation pieces. Remember?
Starters? They're not starters. The loss of DJ Jones is glaring. And I know Armstead's a big loss too, but they put a lot of chips in on Kinline. He's hurt. Armstead's hurt. Those two guys were supposed to be what DJ Jones and Armstead was. It's not happening. They're getting gashed on a weekly basis running. They cannot stop the run. And then secondary, I think Emmanuel Mosley has been the biggest injury this team has faced all year.
Gosh.
You know, Emmanuel Mosley, and I love Charvarius Ward, but when you have him being your number one quarterback, they're going to pick on him. Then they're going to pick on Lenore, who got hurt. And then you Ambry Thomas, who probably wasn't ready for the game. He got picked on. Like, Mahomes threw for over 400 yards passing. He's a great quarterback. This was a bad game. And, the more I look at this, we should have got a cornerback immediately after Mosley went down. And I love CMC, and Smitty talked about it. And like you said, maybe CMC wasn't the guy they should have brought in. And I love him. And I'm not saying that I'm not hyped. I was so excited. I still am excited. I think he'll be a great player for this team. But maybe a running back wasn't the answer to this team's problems, because then you still have offensive line problems. Like Trent Williams, he didn't look 100%. People call him the best player in the NFL. He definitely was not last night. He looked skittish. He looked slow. Frank Clark blew right by him. And then you got Mike McGlinchey, who I know he played on a calf injury, but he's normally not great. Last night was probably the worst Mike McGlinchey game I've seen in my life. Top 10 pick. He's done. He's bad.
The offensive line was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, except for the guards. The guards had great games.
Yeah. Aaron Banks. Shout out Aaron Banks. Another game. Clean sheet. No sacks allowed this season. But it doesn't matter.
No, it didn't matter. Well, Jimmy was sacked, 3 times, I believe, in this game. 3 from your tackles, right?
Yeah.
Look, if you gotta give Trent a minute. Like, he's coming. You got Frank Clark going full throttle on a guy just coming back from an injury, and I don't think he had a bad game. It just wasn't good. It wasn't
Trent Williams standard.
Yeah, I mean, and you had to realize you weren't going to get the Trent Williams standard. But I'm going to get back to somebody in the comments saying about the Jimmy Garoppolo situation, because it didn't result in any points. Didn't the Kansas City Chiefs score on that drive?
On which one?
When we turned the ball over and we was up 10-0, and then didn't Kansas City get they scored a touchdown off that drive. Then it was 10-7. Then they got the ball back and they scored another touchdown. Then it was 14 whatever. And then I don't remember. I can't remember what the score was. All I know is the 49ers, that the momentum was the issue with that.
And that was it. And as soon as they threw that interception, the momentum was done. The team couldn't get back in it. It took the wind out of everybody's sails. And I feel like the crowd wasn't even loud. I didn't really hear the crowd buzzing. At the opening of the game, it seemed a little like there was buzz. CMC got the ball. But otherwise, it just didn't seem like there was buzz. I saw people in the comments said that people were leaving early. That's sad, man. People
That's
left
crazy.
early. You get blown out. This fans were like done with it, and I don't blame them, man. I'm glad I didn't go to the game. That's how I feel because I was gonna go, and last minute I said, "No, I'm gonna stay home." And man, thank God I didn't go. I would have spent a lot of money on a loss, and I would have been really mad.
That's crazy. And I see him saying no, they missed the field goal. I probably, like I said, guys, if I'm saying stuff that's off, don't mind me. My account got hacked, so I wasn't even really paying attention to the game. I thought they missed the field goal a little bit later on in the game.
No, they're right. So after the interception, and that's what they did drive it down, and they missed a field goal. So they didn't capitalize, and that's what I said earlier. But the problem is you still lost momentum because it just took the wind out of your sails. And I feel like this team, because they're bullies, they try to bully teams, but when they get bullied or when they make a mistake, they get so dejected, and it's hard for them to kind of climb out of that hole. And that's exactly what happened. It was an ugly, ugly loss. Like 44 points is unacceptable. And I know we gotta. And like I said, the defense was disgusting, but
Terrible.
I don't think that they should be playing these guys through injuries. And I know we need these players, like in their football players, they're tough. Nick Bosa didn't look 100%. They figured out how to take him out. He couldn't contain the edge. He looked slow. Charvarius Ward looked bad. Patrick Mahomes picked on him. He knew his tendencies. Like you said, Trent Williams coming off the high ankle, he just didn't look like himself. These guys weren't 100%. And I feel like that is the reason why this team continues to get hurt because they go out there, they play them through injuries. I don't know how Hufanga passed another head injury, and he's still out there. He made a big play, but then afterwards, he was missing tackles. Fred Warner. Talk about Fred Warner. This guy is getting paid a lot of money. He just doesn't look like he's that elite linebacker right now. He's made a lot of bad plays.
Yes.
Travis Kelce took this team to school. He did whatever he wanted. They didn't have a game plan for Kelce, and I love Jimmy Ward, but trying to tackle Kelce with one hand was not it.
I think that you have to factor in context.
Okay.
There's a lot of context that we're leaving out. We're looking at the end all be. We're looking at the results, but
Right.
how did it happen? So like I'm always the cause and effect person. You know what I'm saying? All right, this is what the effect was, but now let's go back and check and see how this ended up getting into this situation. And so when you go back and you look at the cause, you can start to see some things. Of course, the injuries are going to play a factor. Nick Bosa had as bad a game as Trent Williams did in the offense, but they still weren't bad.
No, they weren't horrible.
They weren't fully, but they were bad to our standards, to their standards, and to the NFL, like the fans, everybody. They were bad, right? And so when I look at the Nick Bosa, I'm saying to myself, look, how many? And this is where, like, can I shift to the coaching just a little bit because, like, I'm not trying to throw our coaches under the bus, but I'm tired of talking about the players. At some point, the coaches got to make the adjustments.
100%.
At some point, the coaches got to say, all right, this shit not working, right? So I got to figure out how to make something different work. And maybe you can't do it spontaneous on the fly. Maybe that's what it is, right? And that's cool. But going into this next game against these Rams, like they gotta have a plan. If you can't spontaneously do things on the fly, then you need to have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, and a plan D. That way it's easy and quick for people to switch. Because what I was watching was the wide 9 not work. So you forgot that we still line up in that wide ass base 9. Who are we missing? You're missing Kinlaw and you're missing Armstead.
Yeah.
Those other 2 tackles aren't soaking up the space in the spots. Hence, that's why Fred Warner is struggling, right? Because now, instead of him getting off of his block and those linemen soaking up them offensive linemen, those linemen are getting to the second level so fast, Fred is struggling. Like, and you get it. He was having a good season at the very beginning. He was looking like all-pro Fred, and then all of a sudden, Armstead's out. Kinlaw's out, and then Warner's taking a torpedo downward.
Yeah, 100%. And I agree
with the secondary. You're saying Ward, 6 catches, 6 receptions, 6 divided by 6 is 1. That's 100%. That has never happened in his career.
No. Jimmy Ward and Charvarius Ward were both getting cooked all day. And
they both had 6 catches for 6.
Absolutely right, Breezy. It starts with the coaches, and this is what we've been saying is the lack of adjustments. And Andy Reid, he adjusted when he needed to, and that's what makes him a great coach. And Kyle Shanahan, through 6 seasons, continues to make the same mistakes. He can't adjust. And D'Amico too. Like Andy Reid put on a masterclass for both of them, and he took them to the woodshed. You know, D'Amico's got to be able to take his talent. You have great talent. Go ahead and adjust. And then same thing with Kyle is, can you adjust to it? Okay, they figured out your run game or whatever the case is. Figure out how to get these guys involved. You have so much talent. You should be, if you're a genius, figure out how to get everybody involved. You're the genius, but it doesn't look like it. And the crazy thing is, they have, like I said, CMC. You got Debo. I didn't even hear Debo's name called in this game. And then Andy Reid, this man went out there and used McCole Hardman like Debo. He played the Niners' own game.
Yes, he did.
Against the Niners.
Yes,
and he
did.
beat the Niners with their own offensive system. And it's like they couldn't stop. Like, don't you see that in practice?
What happened to our jet sweeps?
Yeah. We don't use it anymore.
What happened to Brandon Ayuk running the jet sweep? You got Ray McLeod, little shifty guy, and he hasn't ran a jet sweep yet. I mean, I know he got fumbling issues, but I'm just saying.
At least give him a jet sweep. Debo used to be the king of jet sweeps. I haven't seen him do a jet sweep in a long time.
Like, stop running Debo outside zone. It ain't working, Kyle.
Yeah.
It's not working. And so the coaches are, look, it's not like, you know, I can't pick up the phone and call Kyle and be like, listen, it ain't working. At some point, if you got him.
Yeah, well, let him know.
Well, I'm just saying at some point, somebody's got to check him. And I don't think, you know, as mediocre as this might sound, there's no checks and balances there.
No.
Kyle is everything. He runs. I don't know if you're familiar with the checks and balances thing. We learned it back in history class. And it's just the way things rotate. And it starts with the top, and Kyle's the top, and it goes back to the top. So they get the three government branches: the judicial, the educative, and the legislative. Kyle's all three of them. There's cool checks and balances.
Too much work. He's not being held accountable. He's doing too much. Like
maybe he has too much power.
I think he does. He's overstepping himself, and nobody's going to check him. The only guy that might be able to check him is John Lynch, but he's not going to check him because he doesn't want to look bad. You know, he wants to just stay under the radar, and whatever the case is. A couple of years back, you had Harbaugh, who had one. I wouldn't even say it's a losing season. It was a mediocre season, 8-8 season. He got fired. It was political, whatever they chose. Balky. This man has had horrible seasons, and he's still here, and he's had less winning seasons than Harbaugh. And if they have a bad year this year, do you think he's going to be on the hot seat? He probably won't. He should be, but he probably won't be. That's the crazy thing is after an 8-8 season, they got rid of a guy that was just a phenomenal head coach. It's crazy. I don't know, man. And somebody has to hold him accountable because it's the same issues on a weekly basis. Players aren't, executing right. And you're right. It does start at the top. And I get it. The players aren't always doing right, and the players are making mistakes. You can blame them all you want, but it does start at the top. The coach has to get the best out of these players. And this was his roster he's built through the draft. All this stuff we sit here and talk about, they develop all this great talent. This was his roster, and you're not utilizing them. Like, this was his team. He's put this together for over 6 years. So he's got nobody to blame except himself.
I think if I was Kyle Shanahan, I don't want to say I would scrap my playbook, but I would make a different version of it.
He's got to make adjustments.
I would make the Cliff Notes version of my playbook, right? Just to go with some, because in order for Kyle, listen, first of all, I don't want Kyle Shanahan fired. I think Kyle Shanahan has been the best coach we've had in a decade. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
So I don't want him gone. What I do think Kyle needs to do is grow a little bit. But the only way he's going to grow is if he takes a little bit of time off. And so I'm thinking, Kyle Shanahan, you're bringing in these guys, you're bringing in these coaches. I saw somebody earlier in the chat said, well, what's Anthony Lynn for? He's another head coach you can run ideas by. He was a former head coach. I don't care if he was unsuccessful. Doesn't matter. He's a good guy that can check the ballot. Like, he could check you, and he could be like, nah, this is what I see. This is what you should do. Now, to Christian McCaffrey's defense, this dude came in. He learned as many plays as he possibly could, and he still led the team.
He played pretty good. Yeah, CMC was great in limited coverage or limited time with the team, 2 days, 48 hours, whatever. He's going to get better. He's going to get integrated. The guy's smart. He studied the playbook, and he was great. But there were a few plays I feel Kyle wasted him. He ran him up the middle on like a useless play. There was a couple plays you could have used him. 3rd and 3, like we talked about, you could have used them. Red zone, like there was a few plays that you could have got meaningful
The
snaps.
screen
And
game. How about
and
the
that's what I'm saying.
running back screen?
Yeah, exactly. Running back screen. Like that's what I'm saying. And you're saying is the adjustments of a team. And that's what Kyle lacks, is making those adjustments. And that's what makes Andy Reid, we're going to use him as an example because he's the coach we played against last night. The guy just adapts to the times every year. He knows how to, make changes. He's with the times. He gets a dynamic player. He gets a great offense. He goes, okay, I lose Tyreek Hill. How am I going to continue to beat teams with mismatches? Boom, I got McCall Hardman. I'm going to use him like Debo. And he figures it out. He adjusts to the times. He's a great coach that adjusts. And you're right, Kyle, stuck in the Stone Age. He's stuck in 1980, still using the IBM computer because he thinks he's so smart with his plays. People caught up to him. They've caught up to him. He doesn't make the adjustments. And when he goes off script, the guy is completely lost. Like, he has a script, and it looks good. Like, there's a few drives, and you're like, wow, what a drive, because he used the script. When he's off the script, he's soul searching.
Yeah, that's a good point. Look, I will give Kyle a little leeway. I know a lot of people. You mentioned Andy Reid. Look, Kyle does 6 years is not a lot of experience in the NFL, and I would say this: Kyle is still learning. He's learning on the fly. He's learning on the job. I guarantee you, if Kyle doesn't work out for the 49ers, his next stint at head coaching, we're going to wish he was still with the 49ers. That's all I'm
Maybe. I mean, maybe he's just not a head coach, because some guys are great at certain
but when you
things.
mentioned Andy Reid, he couldn't win. And then he gets to Kansas City 85 years later. He gets that one player and he wins. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like whatever Kyle, if he's missing something, then, that's why we can't abandon Kyle, because we got to see if Trey Lance, which is his guy, is the answer. We have to wait and see. And unfortunately, we can't see it right now. So we have to wait to see if that's the guy, because
maybe, but like I said, it may be the harsh reality of he may not be the guy. Like, I get it, and I know
right,
Andy
he may
Reid
not be, but we haven't gotten a chance to see it yet, bro. Like, we saw a game and a half this year. We saw 2 games last year, 2 games and 2.5 games last year. That's not enough football to see if Trey Lance is the guy.
He should have used him when he had the chance, but and then he didn't use him right. But I get it; he's doing his development. But I get you. To his defense, he does deserve that chance to get his guy that he drafted a fair
I'm just
shake.
saying, once this guy's in full throttle, that's when I'll start being super harsh on Kyle or super friendly. Like,
I guess you're right. I'm harsh from the jump, and it's not that I hate him. I think he's done great things, but at the same time, like, I don't know, you got rid of Harbaugh for really no reason when he was still a pretty damn good coach. And the thing is, like, I know you said he's the best. Shanahan's the best coach in the last decade. I would hope he's better than Jim Tom Sula and Chip Kelly.
Right.
Obviously,
I'm just saying we haven't had a good guys. We've been to the Super Bowl and we've been to the NFC Championship with Kyle Shanahan as the head coach. We've also had the most injuries in the NFL. Listen, this shit ain't peachy and creamy. It's not going to be a beautiful story with a happy ending. We still can't execute. Kyle Shanahan still can't adjust. He still got issues. All I'm saying is his guy's not in there. And as much as he has to be on Jimmy Garoppolo's nuts, I still don't think he liked Jimmy Garoppolo.
I don't think so. And you could see that, man. There's resentment between both of them. Jimmy hates Kyle. Kyle hates Jimmy. It's a toxic relationship. It just does not work, man. And like, what happened to so and going back to the run game, right? Like, we're running the ball. That's what we do effectively. All of a sudden, Jimmy's throwing the ball a lot more than he ever has in this offense. Like, I know Jimmy says he wants to be free and this and that. What the hell is going on? Is it Jimmy saying, I don't even want to trust you, Kyle, I'm going to do my own thing? Or is it Kyle saying, okay, you want to cook here, you can cook? Like, what is it? Like, he is throwing the ball way too much, man. And and I know sometimes it's situational. You're down, you got to throw, but dude, Jimmy's throwing way too much. You obviously need to run the ball 30, 40 times. The Niners are going away from what works. And there was a comment earlier, and it's like, I think Shanahan's like 1-31 when they're down in the fourth quarter. So it's like you're digging your own grave by not using your offense and keeping guys like Mahomes on the bench. If you're running the ball, you're not going to have Mahomes in there. You're just digging your own grave. And then by the time the fourth quarter rolls, you can't come back because you're just not a guy that can adjust and has that killer instinct.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, look, the Kyle Shanahan starts with him. He's got to sit there and reflect and look at himself and figure out how to make his coaches better so that the coaches can help make the players better.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
100%.
And if he's unable to do that, then there's your issue right there, because that's where it starts. It looks like everybody Andy Reid's team, because we just played the Chiefs, it just looks like they're out there having fun.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, they got the best quarterback in the NFL playing for their team.
I'd be having fun if I played for Patrick Mahomes too.
That's my point. And so we're being harsh on Kyle Shanahan, and we got Jimmy Garoppolo as our quarterback. Like, I don't get it. Like, we want him to do all these plays. You want him to run these guys. For some people say, don't run Christian McCaffrey too much because he gets injured. And now everybody's saying run him the fucking all the time. What the fuck? Can't have both of them. Y'all gotta
but the problem is
y'all gotta make up your mind. Y'all can't be teety toddy. Like, 1 minute, don't run him up the middle. Yo, this was some of the comments. Don't run Christian McCaffrey up the middle. Where the fuck is he supposed to run? He's the running back.
They're right. Let him run like the
No, they're not right. You gotta let that guy play running back. I watch him cut up the middle the same way I watch him cut to the outside. And it seemed like our offensive line can't even get to the outside because the running back's too damn fast. And by the time they get there, ain't no blocking. So what are we saying? So I don't know what Kyle Shanahan's issue is, bro, but some ain't right. Like maybe it's clearly he don't trust his players.
No, and that's the key. But these are the players that he brought in. And going back to the whole, but we have Jimmy. But that's Kyle. Like, Kyle kept them. He brought him in. He kept them. They made the whole plan of, he's going to be back. So,
keep him, or did John Lynch make Kyle an offer he couldn't refuse?
It could be both of them, but it's a front office thing. So at the end of the day, this team kept the guy. And if Kyle doesn't believe in him, put your nuts on the table and say, no, I don't want, because if he's the head coach and this is the team he has to coach, you want to make sure you have coaches or players that you trust. And if you don't, speak up, say, hey, John, I know you want me to do it, but guess what? No, like, just say it, just step up. And maybe that's what it is. If you don't trust them, tell someone.
So for this is me, and you guys can feel however you want, and I'm cool with it. Like, I respect everybody's opinion. For me, when it comes to Kyle Shanahan, I'm not getting rid of him until I see Trey Lance play a full season of football. That's it.
It's fair. It's fair. Honestly.
And then after that, hey man, Kyle, you had your shot. I don't care if Trey is his first year fully starting.
I'll give him a chance with Trey, and that's fair because he does deserve it. This is the guy he handpicked. This is his guy. But if they win like 6 games this year, he rightfully should be on the hot seat.
I don't think he's going to be on the hot seat.
I don't either.
He didn't have his guy. That's what I'm trying to say.
I get it, but I still think he should be, because it's just, regardless if you have your guy, he should be. But I think that's going to be the excuse.
But when you got to look at it, when coaches go to teams and they technically don't have their guy, they inherit a team and they don't have their guy at the quarterback, they get 2 or 3 seasons. So this was my issue with Kyle not playing Trey in the first place. Remember, I would try to tell y'all.
Yeah, same thing.
Trying to save his clock from starting. This year, his clock was supposed to be ticking. Clock meaning getting his ass fired. That's what that meant. But unfortunately, Trey got injured, and now Kyle's clock kind of stopped. And we're looking for Jimmy to patch up whatever shit that they, it's just a patchwork. It's patchwork.
But to be devil's advocate, to play devil's advocate, don't you think he did kind of have his chance with Trey and then he got hurt? So what I'm asking, do you think that Kyle got Trey hurt? Because I know the comments are saying, well, he had his guy and he ran away and got hurt.
I don't think Kyle got Trey hurt, but hey, first of all, I'm a football guy, so you're gonna use your quarterback. Like, there's plenty of quarterbacks that run fucking quarterback power. Like, what are we talking about here? There's a bunch of head coaches that use it, and I don't give a fuck if you're Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, or anybody. Like, if you run with the ball, they're running actually quarterback power plays, and luckily they're not getting injured. Trey Lance had a guy fall on his ankle and it broke. I don't agree that you should run it a lot, but this is football, man. Like, injuries are gonna happen. Shit, and offensive linemen are getting injured. You running the ball all the time. Like, injuries just happen, period. I don't think he got Trey hurt. I think Trey just got injured. It's just what football's like.
It was a tough injury. It was a shitty injury. He did have a lineman, but I mean, that's the way Kyle wanted to utilize him. I mean, maybe he did use that quarterback power a lot, but it was working. And in football, you utilize what's working. And I know a lot of teams kind of go and that's what you do. You like last night, Mike Holmgren kept using the jet sweep because he couldn't stop it. So
we couldn't stop
Kyle, like Kyle said, he's going to use the play if it works. I do wish he would have utilized him a little bit more as a pocket passer. And like you said, last year maybe they should have started him earlier than people wanted.
He didn't trust him in the short game, Raj. That's the issue. Like Trey inaccuracy on the short throws was an issue for Kyle, and the defenses weren't allowing him to throw deep.
Yeah.
And so we had to run the ball with the quarterback to get this defense off of his back so it can open up the passes down the field.
I agree.
We could have ran the ball with the running back too, but the quarterback is the key because you want them to play 11-on-11 football and you want them to play honest. That way, if Trey does take a lane and runs, ain't nobody there but him and the linebacker, he out. So I get what Kyle's trying to do. It's just unfortunate Trey got injured in the process.
It was a very unfortunate injury. Again, if he gets his chance next year with Trey, he better make it worth his damn bottom dollar, because if he doesn't, that's his opportunity. If that's what you're saying, you need a chance with your handpicked guy, you got to make it work. There's no more excuses at that point. There's just really not.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I've moved on from Trey for this season. I'm trying to.
Yeah, you have to. I have to. Like, it was hard for me.
Yeah, it was so tough
hard for me, bro. But you have to.
Big Trey supporters.
Yeah,
and I think we were so much ready for a new era of football with the 49ers. I think that's what it was. I think that was the biggest shell shock, because now we got to go back to a more condensed, more limited type of a playbook because of the play call, the quarterback. And so, look, if we can utilize Jimmy to his strengths and get him into a rhythm, he plays very well. I'm gonna keep it a buck. He's not the greatest quarterback, but he plays really well. But you got to get him into a rhythm. And I don't think Kyle Shanahan is doing a good job at making sure Jimmy's getting into a rhythm. That's what guys do. Look, Patrick Mahomes wasn't in the rhythm at the beginning of the game, right?
Made a mistake, but he figured it out. He washed it away, and he came back and threw for over 400 yards.
You know why? You know why? Because Coach Andy Reid was like, "What am I doing, bro? Go do you and play football, off script shit." Patrick Mahomes was getting outside the pocket. He's better outside the pocket than he is inside the pocket. Go figure. And we're teaching quarterbacks how to play inside the pocket. Some people are just better when they have space, and that's Patrick Mahomes, and that's what makes him lethal.
Yeah, he's a monster, man. You can't stop him outside, inside. He just is a great quarterback, and Andy Reid and him have trust, and that's something, like we said, that Kyle and Jimmy don't. They don't have trust, man. They just don't, and you can see it on the field. It's very evident, and it's an unfortunate thing. And I said this back with Trey last year on the offseason and this offseason. I said the only way Trey's going to succeed with Kyle is if Kyle trusts him. If Kyle don't trust him, it's not going to work, and that's with any coach. If you don't trust your players, your quarterback especially, there's just no way you're not going to work, because your coach is going to be calling plays that you don't like. You're going to be trying to audible. It's going to be a mess, and there's just going to be disarray, and you have to have that trust. There cannot be a disconnect, and I can see, I mean, it just looks like there's a disconnect between Jimmy and Kyle, and this has been years manifesting. I mean, they tried to get rid of Jimmy multiple times. He's somehow still on the roster, and he's got to play through all that. Like, in the back of his mind, he's probably like, I can't believe I'm still here after all this,
And as how many times did he said that there wasn't a different playbook? And the moment Jimmy Garoppolo is the quarterback, now there's a different playbook. And Jimmy didn't even have the playbook. I'm telling you, man, this is why I'm probably more optimistic, because the script that was for this season got scrapped, and now they're trying to figure this shit out. I think that's what they're trying to do. Man, I know they're not practicing like crazy like they would if Jimmy was the quarterback going into the in the offseason and in the preseason. And unfortunately, Jimmy wasn't that guy, but it was Trey. And so now Jimmy has to be that guy. And coming in, alleviating the quarterback that gets injured is one thing. Game planning for a quarterback, having to do it for 60 minutes is a different thing. And we know Jimmy struggles. And so we got to figure out what's Jimmy's strengths if he has any. I think still the quick game. I still think it's the screen stuff, the stuff that he doesn't have to react. He doesn't read, excuse me. He just reacts. One stop, throw's going to be open. Quick slant, bam. I can see this coverage. He's playing off. You cut in. I'm going to throw it to you. Whatever happens, happens. I'll make sure the pass get there. You got to get the yards. That's Jimmy's game.
Yeah, he gives it to the playmakers. They do the rest. Like you dump off a 5-yard
That's his
play,
game, bro.
and Debo takes the yak play. Kittle they make him look good or whatever the case is. But that's his game. Short game, quick read, first read. But I feel a lot of quarterbacks could do that. Ain't nothing special to me.
I didn't say it was special.
No, I know.
I'm just saying that's his game, fam. Don't make him be something that he's not, is what I'm trying to say.
No, 100%. And that's why, going back to what I said, is why are all of a sudden we're throwing the ball so much? You know Jimmy's this limited guy, and you run the ball. That's the whole point of this is run the ball. You just added CMC, and I know, like you said, with the comments flip-flopping where people are saying run him. I think people want to see him run a little bit more like creative plays with them, because I'm going to say there were a few plays where it was just like a HB dive.
Yeah.
And that was a bad. And that's where I think they're saying when people say run up the middle, you have to be a little bit more specific. Like you say, context. It was like an HB dive. That's not a play. There were plays where he did run in the middle and you could see him cut. Like that first play, he did run up the middle.
There was some power.
The lane's open and he cut and he hit the gap, right? Like those are specific plays where he goes in the middle, but he cuts to the outside. But I feel like more like zone to the outside, like toss plays, sweet plays.
I thought that's why you brought him in. He has the speed to get to the outside. He kind of has that 4.47, 4.48 speed.
Beast.
I don't understand why he's not doing outside zones. I don't get it.
I don't either.
I can't wrap my head around it. But I'm an advocate of this. F all that switching running back shit. Let these guys go. The running back is running the ball and it's successful. Running backs got to get into a rhythm too.
Everybody does. The whole team has to get in a rhythm, and that's the thing. The Niners never seem to get a rhythm. They lack the execution, and that's why I say it goes back on coaching. Is they're not getting. I don't know. They just don't get off to this start where it motivates them, and they get this. They don't get the momentum. And again, going back to the whole momentum, and they lose momentum. And once they lose it, this team they feel like dejected, and it's hard for them to like climb their way back in. And that I feel is coaching, and it's just what I see out of it.
And we agree, because at the end of the day, Kyle's got to find a way to make the adjustments. He's the play caller. He's got to go out there, figure out which plays are going to work. I don't mind him testing out certain plays. You get stopped for them. They might work a little bit later on, but you got to pay attention to what that defense is doing. And like you said, the offensive line in the middle was struggling to block on those dives, on some of those powers. We did see some good gains, but we're zone running teams trying to add in that power scheme when it comes to running. And sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. That's what it is. And I think if you let these running backs, I get it. You don't want to overwork CMC.
Yeah, and I get it. It was his first game. Like, I know he was on a snap count.
Then. Shit.
I know. He ran a snap count.
Yeah.
What about Debo? Last year, you ran this man to the ground.
I think they figured Debo out, bro.
I think so, too.
And you know why? It's because all we're doing with Debo is you're trying to run him up the middle or have him kind of like get to the outside, right? Why not do a trick play? What happened to the stuff we used to see?
I need to see a jet sweep out of Debo. If I don't see a jet sweep in the next 2 weeks, I'm losing my shit. Because they like I said, going back to the McCall Hardman thing, they literally out Debo'd us. And that made me so sick. Every time I saw it, like I could see it, you could just tell he's going in motion. And I'm like, fuck, he's going to do jet. Like I was like, this guy's about to do another jet sweep. After the first one, I knew it. I said, they're going to do it. Boom, touchdown. Second one, again. And I was like, God, dude, they don't see it. Like, how do you not see that shit? D'Amico, you need to see that. You practice against this. Or maybe they don't practice against it. They don't run
practice against it. Yeah.
Maybe they don't because they took it out of the playbook.
Maybe they did. Maybe that's why they weren't ready for it. And Andy Reid knew that they were going to do this.
Because he's watching the film and he's like, holy shit, they don't even use this play anymore. We're going to beat them with their play that they used to use.
See what I'm saying? That's just game planning. That's coaching. That's all the stuff that we were just talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, Tej Beat says bring back Harbaugh. I wish, but he's chilling in Michigan.
I can't front. I miss Jim Harbaugh.
100%, man. I do too.
I just miss his mentality. Like I do. Like I really like he was just all football. He didn't give a fuck about a scheme or whatever. He was gonna play football. He was gonna have a fullback. Remember Bruce Miller? He was gonna play football. He was gonna
Yeah.
play football.
He was a
I
beast,
like.
man.
Chris Smith down there says we should some Wildcat. Why not?
Why not get creative? You got offense. Like that's the thing. Like I want to see creativity out of Kyle. Like they say he's a mad genius, a scientist. Andy Reid, man, that give him the lab coat. That boy was cooking it up, making meth out there with the offense. And I was like, what is Kyle doing?
And Raj, this is why we're all like bent out of shape, right? Because
Yeah.
you got this play caller in 2016, like his offense was crazy. Like the year they won the Super Bowl, was it 2016 or 2017? That Atlanta's offense was ridiculous. And other than Julio Jones, I think this team is way more talented.
100% agree. Like, look at the players. Like, you have star talent. We know the roster. We've been posting about it all week. Like, all the posts of, oh, look at the offense of the Niners. Every sports page posted the same damn picture. Ayuk, Debo, Kill, like all of like we know. And you put 23 points on the board. It's you're not going to beat teams with 23 because you're playing against pro football players, NFL talent. Like, you have to score more than 23 points. You can't beat, like, if you're in a Super Bowl game and you're playing the Chiefs or the Bills or whatever, one of these elite teams, and you think you're going to beat them with 23 points, your defense better have the game of their life that night.
Yeah, good point, Sal. Who he gave this comment. He also said Matt Ryan. I didn't mean to overlook Matt Ryan. You're right, especially during that he was MVP. Was he MVP that year?
He was great that year. Yeah. QB MVP.
Yeah, he was on point. And so you're right. But that's my point.
He had a hell of a team, man, and he made Matt Ryan look good, who got benched today, by the way, for Sam Ellinger.
He's done for the season. But that's my point.
If I'm Matt Ryan, I'm retiring after that.
It's time to call it quits. But I was getting ready to say to you, that's my point. Like, Kyle has proven with a quarterback, he can do some things. And Jimmy limited him, and that's the issue. Like, right? Like, think about it. With Matt Ryan had Julio Jones with Devontae Freeman,
Mohamed Sanu,
Muhammad, all of them. Right. I'm just saying, like, he had a productive offense, but it was the brain of Matt Ryan that was the executioner out there, right? Now we're trying to make Jimmy Garoppolo be that same type of execution, dude. And that's not who he is.
Not his guy. Yeah, it's not his game. He's not a great quarterback.
But then that's why if Kyle doesn't trust Jimmy, then he's got to figure out how to adjust it. Shit. What happened to I respected Kyle Shanahan more when he took the ball out of Jimmy Garoppolo's hand and ran it 850,000 times and we went to the Super Bowl. I was like, okay, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of Kyle.
Yeah, in the playoffs, Jimmy was 8 attempts one game.
It was against Minnesota, bro. Like, I was like, okay. And then Jimmy had a couple of throws in that Green Bay game. Kyle didn't like the throws. It was Mostert time.
Yeah, Mostert cooked them up. But that's the thing. I don't think he trusts anybody on this roster. We talk about him trusting Jimmy, and he probably obviously doesn't. I don't think he trusts anybody. And then he puts people in the doghouse. Like, it's just weird, man. You go draft all these running backs in the third round, and you go make a move for CMC. Like, what is he doing, man?
Yeah. So unless we figure that out, unless Kyle figures himself out and then figures that out, I think, Raj, we're going to be doing these shows back and forth.
It's going to be, I already know we're going to have all these, we're going to be talking about Kyle a lot. I've already been, me and Smitty been, talking about this all season. No, I'm not a hater. I'm just keeping it real, my man. At the end of the day, I'm not going to give you sugar pops and rainbows when it's not sugar pops and rainbows right now. We just had a fucking meltdown yesterday. Let's keep it a buck, my man. So
that junk was crazy. That was man, I'm still watching this game, bro, and I'm like, damn, 14-13. I didn't see the meltdown. Then the kickoff in the second half, and they return it. Their running back returns it for umpteen amount of yards. He's able to get around the edge, and then Jawan Jennings just pushes him. And next thing you know,
discipline. And we talked about this yesterday. The lack of discipline was absolutely atrocious. Like, Jawan Jennings, you come out second half, you need to be focused, you need to come out, make big plays. You just set the tone for your team by making a boneheaded play. The Chiefs come down, score. That's horrible momentum killer. Like, those are the things, the penalties, just lack of discipline, man. And that's why I say, like, starts with the coach, and that's why I keep saying, Kyle, you're on thin ice. On my book, that's where I'm at with him. And I know a lot of people don't always agree with that, but hey, man, he's got to prove himself. He's got a lot to prove. I know next week we can win and beat the Rams, but it's not gonna be easy. It's
Nope.
not gonna be easy.
Nope, not at all. So let me ask you this question before I jump off out of here, man. And I appreciate you for having me on. Like, how do we fix this so that we win next week? What do we need to fix so that we win next week?
Got it. Plain and simple, like we talked about. You got to execute. You can't make mistakes. And I say it every week. Every week that we lose, we shoot ourselves in the foot. You have to play a brand of football where you can execute and you have to move the ball. If you go away from what makes it work, the run game, if you don't run the ball and you force Jimmy to pass, you're going to lose these games because he's going to make mistakes. That's just Jimmy. Run the ball, play your best football, and also somebody needs to talk to the defense and tell them that they got to stick to their assignments. But honestly, the biggest thing is execution and stick to your game plan, man. Be aggressive. And once you get a lead, you have to continue to be aggressive. Run the ball, and you can't settle for field goals, man. You got to get touchdowns.
I knew I was doing something. I was trying to figure out the amount of times we ran the ball. I know we threw more. So we had a total of 72. How we have 72 plays and 100, almost 100 yards less, a whole bunch of points less. This doesn't make any sense. We had 10 penalties for 80 yards.
That's it, right there. They
had 8 for 84. It's a push. Believe it or not, I hate it.
But the Niner penalties,
they suck.
Were massive plays. The Chiefs had some tic-tac calls here and there, but they were big plays that we had. It were boneheaded plays. And not only that, when you're playing a team and they're a high-powered team, you have to limit. Like you have to have low mistakes when you play against a team like the Chiefs. And they wet the bed, the interception. Like those are the moments. Like you made mistakes in critical junctures.
Yeah, I agree. They outrushed us 112 yards to 101. We both had 21 carries. They were averaging 5.3. We were averaging 4.8. But there's the kicker. They had two? They had 2 wide receiving touchdowns that were rushes from Hardman. He had 3 touchdowns.
He had 3 touchdowns. Yeah. Marco Hardman killed us. And again, there you go. 21. We both ran the ball 21 times. Kyle Shanahan needs to run the ball more than 21 times. 21 times.
25 I would say is the minimum number, bro.
Yeah, 30 is at least.
Right. At least. Minimum 25. And then if you can get to the 30s, that's the sweet spot for Kyle Shanahan, and usually a victory. Now, when you look at the passing attempts, it was 36, 25, 36. They had 36. We had 46. So we passed the ball 10 more times. Rightfully so, because we were down by a lot and we were trying to find a way to come back. But still, man, like that's not the winning formula. So 2 weeks in a row, we didn't rush the ball. Against Atlanta, it was 17 times. Against the Chiefs, it's 21 times. We got to get back to that 30 number, man. That 25 to 30 number. That's where it comes down to. And I tell you what, man, the defense is going to have to find a way to figure it out.
Yeah, right? That defense was awful. If we want to consider them a top 5 defense in the league, you shouldn't allow a team to score 44 points if you're a top 5 defense in the league, bottom line. That was ugly. Defense played bad.
Hate to burst your bubble, but they're no longer in the top 5. They're in the top 10 still, though.
I don't consider them a top 10 if you're going to be giving up 44 points. And I know they played the Chiefs, but hey, that's a good team. If you want to be a good defense, against a good team, you need to be able to hold them less than that. I mean, the Bills played them. Bills held them to less than 30 points.
I don't know what to say. It's a punch in the mouth. The question is, how do we respond? I like this show because after this show, Raj is gonna put out the post. It's Rams week, and so
I'm gonna do it. I gotta put the Rams.
I'm ready. It's officially Rams week, guys.
Not yet. Almost. Hold up, real quick. I need to go grab my charger real quick, Wayne.
Yep, go get your charger. All right, guys. I see everybody out here. If you've never seen me perform or do this before, if you guys could do me a favor, man. Listen, my Wayne Breezie account got hacked. I don't know what that is. Could be a phone thing. I sound like a robot.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. You sound like a robot all of a sudden.
I need some juice.
Better. Let's see. Let's see. Maybe that's better. We good?
That's a lot better. So I needed some juice. Listen, guys, I know a lot of people are ready to move on from Kyle Shanahan, and I get it. Look, I just, for me personally, I'm not saying he doesn't have issues. That's not what I'm saying. I see people saying out here that I don't know about football, but I've been around long enough to watch football, and I've been around long enough to see coaches get chances after chances. And I think Jed York really loves Kyle Shanahan. That's why Ross says he doesn't see him going anywhere for a couple of years. But that doesn't mean he shouldn't be assessed and he shouldn't be criticized, because I believe every person has to deal with constructive criticism in their life. We all aren't great. We were trying to be great, but we all need, the only way we could become great is by messing up and figuring out what our weaknesses are so we can make them stronger. And I think what Kyle Shanahan is, he doesn't have anybody to check him. And I think that's the issue. And that's probably why you're not seeing growth. The only thing we've been seeing from Kyle Shanahan is this way. And that's why we're worried. Let's keep it about. I'm worried. I'm fucking worried. I'm fucking petrified that our team is declining. And how many years in a row can we blame this on injuries, bro?
Yeah,
And
we
if
can't
that's
keep
the
doing
issue,
that. Like, that's not. Yeah, you can't use an excuse. And I'll say this: like, if they're gonna keep Kyle, get him an OC, man. He needs to swallow the pride, get an OC, because there's a lot. He's trying to do so much. Like, there's a lot of pressure on the man. Like, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's a lot of pressure. Go get an OC, swallow your pride. It's not a big thing. Go get some help, man, because it's a lot on your plate. And I know I see a lot of people that says, get rid of. There's a lot of people that, not just here but on Twitter and everywhere, get rid of D'Amico. He was bad. He had a bad performance this last game as a coach, obviously.
I was saying 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row. It was a bad performance. But, Robert Salah has some bad games. And I remember when people were
Brian
like,
Allen.
you remember when, oh, God. Man.
Miami.
I remember when people were like, fire Salah, fire Salah. Now he's killing it with the Jets, man. And just you got to be a little patient sometimes. I think D'Amico's still great. I think he'll be a great head coach. But Kyle's got to keep him in check. And they got to have a meeting of the mind and figure it out. Because I know it's early. I know we're only 3-4. And the Niners won. They're 3-5 last year. I know the whole story. But eventually, it's not always easy to just say, "Oh, we did it last year, we can do it again." It was a magical year. It took some miracles. Like Ambry Thomas play, that was a miracle. The Bengals game, that was a miracle game. Like, those games just don't happen. The Packers in the playoffs, there's a lot of events. Like, there was some divine intervention, and sometimes you don't always get that luck. So they got to win these games that they should win. I mean, obviously the Chiefs was a tough game. It wasn't a guaranteed win, but Falcons game, Broncos game, Chicago game, those were games that you could have won. And if you lost this game last night, not a big deal. Now it's kind of a big deal compared to what it could have been.
I personally feel the 49ers haven't hit their stride yet. But just to give you guys a little bit of optimism and a little silver lining to things. Look, I feel like we played the toughest. After this week, we've played our toughest schedule. Like, the tough games are done. You got 2-3 divisional games out the way, and you played some of these tough teams. I mean, look, the Los Angeles Chargers don't look too good. They just lost for the year. JC Jackson's out for the season. You're looking at the you were talking about the Jets. We don't play the Jets, but they lost 2 players. They didn't just lose Brees Hall. They also
lost VTA.
So they got some people out that's going to be out. But when it comes to us, we just got to just be on our on our A game. And watching that game, bro, I know it didn't end well. It started well, and usually we start slow, but it started well, and we just fucking shit the bed, like you said. Like, we pissed and shit in the bed. And it was because we didn't do what you said. We didn't score touchdowns. We got points, but we didn't get touchdowns. That interception, whether it resulted in points or not, we missed out on 7 points. That's huge.
Horrible. And that's why I brought that up. That's why I posted on that meme earlier this month. Like, that to me was the play that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, it was the play that you sat there and you're like, are you kidding me? Because it sucked the momentum out of everybody. Like, you go into halftime and you're just like, what the hell happened? You could have scored that play right there, went into halftime with the lead, and that would have changed everything. You play because Kyle plays better with the lead, right?
Yes.
And the stat was, when Kyle's down, he they lose basically. So you need to put yourself in position where you have the lead because this team has not played good in the second half. You need to make sure that you're up and you have a lead and give your defense confidence because they play better with the lead. And when they weren't playing with the lead, man, Kansas City, they were like, we're just gonna be aggressive because that's the thing. Andy Reid is an aggressive coach. He's not like Kyle where he's passive and stuff. So that was the issue to me, and it goes back to execution. How are we gonna beat the Rams? Aggressiveness, execute, and no mistakes. You cannot make those mistakes. If you get an interception and you're on the goal line, you better score. You better punch it in their mouth because we can't afford to lose these division games. I know you say the schedule is easier. No game is easy in the NFL. I mean, you see it this year.
100%.
NFC is crazy, man.
100%.
We have to win the division games. Bottom line, the NFC East, killer. Look at this, man. The NFC East has 3 teams that might make the playoffs this year, probably, because the NFC is crap. Other than that, the only other teams that are getting in is probably the division winners. There's only going to be teams from the divisions that win it. So if we don't win the NFC West, we got a slim chance to make it.
Listen. We're 3-4. Last year we were 3-5 going into like that second half of the season, and we came back and we ended up in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, I know it.
Listen, that doesn't mean it's going to happen again this year, but it did happen. So if that's the same way people like loving Jimmy, right? Oh, he got us to a Super Bowl. You're right. It did happen. Can it happen again? We have to wait and see. The good thing is Jimmy Garoppolo is healthy, so there's no excuse on his part, right? Because remember, health was the issue. And so we just got to fall back and just see how this stuff starts to unveil and take one game at a time. Let's beat the Rams. Let's just start there.
That's it. 1 week at a time. That's why I said
we'll be 3-0 in the division, Raj. You beat the Rams, beat 3-0.
That's it. And that's why I said the division games are key. If they beat the Rams and you're 3-0 in the division, you're sitting pretty because you have first place in a chokehold. And then you have 3 more games after that. You have the Cardinals twice, and then you have the Seahawks one more time. You got 3 more games that you absolutely have to win. If you win all those division games, you're probably gonna make the playoffs.
Well said, brother. I always appreciate you letting me jump on here, man, and chop it up with you, bro.
Always, bro. Appreciate you.
Real quick, because Gardaki's playground. Would you trade Jimmy Garoppolo for Matt Ryan?
God, no. Someone asked me that today. They're both, to me, they're the same. There's no, that doesn't move. That's not a move that moves the needle.
Successful with Matt Ryan.
I get it. But that's a move that doesn't move the needle. I just told you, Matt Ryan should. If I'm Matt Ryan, I'm retiring. You just got benched for Sam Ehlinger. They're done. We don't need Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan, man, to me, he's washed. He's done. Jimmy G is just as good as Matt Ryan is at this point in their careers. It doesn't move the needle. I need a cornerback. If you're going to make a trade right now before the trade deadline, go get me a cornerback because Mosley was the biggest injury of the season, and it's showing. Or go get me a right tackle. Obviously, that's a harder one to get. We're screwed right there. Go get me a cornerback. That's what I want.
Okay. I just wanted to ask you a question. I prefer a defensive tackle, but
okay.
I could dig.
I like that too. I like that too because Arik Armstead's been a big loss too.
Yeah, and I don't think he's coming back for a little minute.
Yeah, I know, me too.
All right, man. Thanks for having me on, bro. Love you, man.
Hey, appreciate you. Yo, everybody go follow my man Wayne Breezy at the channel. Go subscribe. Yeah. They've been taking my man's money. We need to get him back up on it.
I just want to be able to create freely, and that's why I started a new channel. So we just gonna start all over and keep it a buck. But if I could get y'all, look, I'm doing a giveaway. I'm gonna be giving away a mini autograph signed Tyler Noah Hufanga helmet. If I can get to the first, like we get to 1K by the bye week, all right, that'll mean I'll be monetized by the bye week. We get to the 1K, and I'm gonna do a giveaway for that helmet. So go subscribe to the channel. There's no name behind the channel because I can't customize the URL yet. I forgot what you need to do to customize it. But once
you got to get to like
I can't remember
subscribers. I think once you get a certain subscribers, they'll let you be able to edit that. And then after you hit 4,000 watch hours, you should be able to apply for monetization. Except for me, they hold me back.
They still holding you back?
That's a long story. We'll talk off record on that.
YouTube, bro. All right, man. Listen,
I'm gonna have to delete every video and just keep my lives up, and then go from there. I'm gonna lose all my views, but fuck it, I need to get paid for it. So.
Got you. All right, man. Love you, brother.
I appreciate you, man. Everybody go subscribe to my man Wayne Breezy.
Peace out, guys. Have fun.
Buddy. Yes, sir. Whew. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that was a tough loss, but hey, let's hope they can keep the faith. Let's hope they can win the game next week. I know some people. I know Breezy gonna tell you, like he said, he He's going to give Kyle a little bit more leeway than me. Yo, you got to win games, Kyle. So, is what it is. Get Raj paid, Myth Vibes. Am I going to LA? No, man. I'm going to stay home. I'm not going to give them my money until they start riding the ship. Until the Niners start winning some games, I ain't giving them my money. Although I am going to the Chargers game because I already bought that ticket. I am going to the Dolphins game because I already bought that ticket. And I am going to the Raiders game because that's my homecoming weekend. I need to go see my family and be there. But I don't think I'm going to LA. They better start winning some games so I can go to the game. So appreciate you. Where did I get this hat? Somewhere in the mall. The Great Mall out in here in San Jose. So VZ says the losses are hurting my soul. Me too, buddy. Me too. It's frustrating. It's just a shitty loss, man. I'm gonna keep it a buck. It's a shitty loss. Shitty loss. Ain't no way around it. Ain't no way around it. It's a bad loss. Am I going on Smitty's show tonight? I'll be with me and Smitty will talk. Appreciate you, Raphael. I hope we see you too at the games. We'll see. So frustrating. I don't know. I want to talk more, but I gotta go get my daughter from school. I'll see y'all later. We'll be live shortly. You know how we do Instagram. We'll be live. Blah 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 blah. I love you guys. Keep up the support. Hey man, y'all are amazing. As much as we lose, you guys still show me support. We're up at 7K on YouTube, and I'm very very happy to be there. So appreciate all the support. Adrian says he's gonna be there at the game this week. Let's hope we bring a dub for you, Adrian. You need to go watch a game. Maxim says he's going to the Chargers game. I hope I see you there too. I'll be at that Chargers game. We'll see. Thanks for the therapy class. No doubt. That's what we do. We therapize it. We go out and then we vent. Y'all might not agree with half the shit I say, but we got to say what we got to say. I love you. Bang, bang. Niner gang. I'll see y'all soon.